The movie opens up by a man named Tim. He and all his family have their strange perspective of life, but that doesn't make them less happy and grateful to each other. They lived a harmonious life. One night at a New Year's party in his house, Tim, who was single back then, tried to a girlfriend. Unlucky Tim, despite all the pretty girls at the party, only managed to get to know this one girl he considered weird. He didn't like the girl that at one time everyone kissed their partner. He decided not to kiss the girl, even though the girl looked like she wanted to. The next day when he woke up, he realized what he had done to the girl last night might have hurt the girl's feelings. He regretted what he did. Shortly after, Kit Kat, his sister, came and told him that his father was looking for him. When he met his father with a serious face, told him about a family secret where every man in the family had this strange hereditary ability to go back in time, and told him how to use that ability, that is to find a dark place, close his eyes, and hold his hand, while imagining the time and place he wanted to visit in the past. Thinking that his father was just pranking him, he tried it anyway. He went inside the closet, closed his eyes, hold his hands, and imagined the time he spent last night at the party. It turned out that what his father told him was a real thing. He went back in time, exactly when the party was held. He went downstairs to meet the weird girl. Suddenly the guilt came to his mind and decided to kiss the girl when everyone kissed. When he returned to the present time, he told everything to his father. His father explained that the limit of that ability was they could only go back to the times they remembered, not the ones they forgot or the future. Realizing his gift, he thought that he might be able to get a girl with it. A few days later, they all went for a family vacation in the summer. During the vacation, his cousin Charlotte came and stayed. When Charlotte and Kit Kat were sunbathing, Charlotte asked Tim to help her apply the sunscreen. Tim, which turned out to have a crush on her, happily helped her. So happy he lost focus and spilled too much sunscreen. Panicked, he went away inside the house and went back in time. He managed to do his job well enough and save himself from embarrassment. Days passed and Tim was still trying to impress Charlotte until one night, he dared himself to confess his feelings. Sadly, Charlotte refused his feelings and said that he was late. He should have told her earlier, not when the vacation was almost over. Hearing that, Tim decided to went back in time, when the first day of vacation. Confident enough that Charlotte would not let his feelings down this time, he immediately confessed to her, just to be rejected again. Hearing that, he realized no matter how much and how hard he repeated back the time, he would never be able to change someone's feelings. He could never be able to force someone to like him. A few months passed. Tim got a call for a job as an intern lawyer in London. He thought to himself that he would never get a girlfriend unless he dared himself to leave his hometown to get a job and see the rest of the outside world. His father was worried for him and asked his old friend named Harry to take care of Tim and let him live in his place temporarily until he managed to live on his own. Harry was a play director that lived in London. 6 months have passed as an intern and Tim officially was promoted to a full-time lawyer, but there wasn't any single woman attracted to him. His friend at work then invited him on a blind date. He was taken to a dark room where he met 2 other women. He was paired with a woman named Mary. She said she liked the work of the famous model known as Kate Moss. He finally was able to see Mary's beauty at the dinner for the first time and fell in love at first sight. He then asked for Mary's phone number so they would be able to have another date next time. When he returned home, he met Harry, who looked annoyed. One of his talents played badly in his theatrical performance before. Tim, who felt sorry, then decided to help Harry by going back in time when the performance took place. There, one of the actors forgot his line. Tim rushed to the backstage to show the actor his dialogue and save the day. After the show, Tim thought about Mary and tried to contact her, but he realized that her number was not there to be found on his phone. Turned out, when he went back in time to save Harry's show, he forgot to attend the blind date, which meant he never met Mary and never exchanged numbers with her. He immediately ran to the restaurant where the blind date took place, but Mary was not there anymore. Just when he managed to get close to a woman, he messed it all up. The next morning, Harry looked happy and handed Tim a newspaper. In it, there was an article about his successful play performance last night. While reading the article, he also found an article about Kate Moss's exhibition. He remembered that Mary liked the model in the exhibition, and so he decided to visit the event. He waited long enough and got bored, so he called his sister Kit Kat to accompany him. After waiting long enough, he finally saw Mary. When he tried to approach her, Mary seemed confused and thought of him as a stranger since she never actually met him. Annoyed, she left him. Tim didn't give up and asked Mary, which was also accompanied by her friend, for lunch. While having lunch, suddenly a man came and sat next to him. The man turned out to be Mary's boyfriend. Tim was flabbergasted. He wondered how could a single day back in time changed a lot to the present day. He was so annoyed with Mary and her boyfriend. He asked when and where they first met and went back to that time so that he could meet Mary before the man came. When he finally met Mary, he invited her for a dinner. They spent the night and had a good time together, and eventually, they dated each other. Months had passed and they were living together. Suddenly, Mary got a call from her parents from America saying that they wanted to come and visited her. She told Tim that she had not told her parents that she was dating someone and even lived together, and asked him to get ready to meet them both. When Mary's parents came, Tim accidentally made a bad first impression by saying inappropriate words in front of them, but after repeating time several times, he finally managed to make a good impression on her parents. On the night after Mary's parents left, Tim went to the theater with his friend. When he was there, he met Charlotte, the girl that had rejected him before. They had dinner together and chatted. Charlotte told him that she regretted rejecting him and invited him to her place that night. When he arrived at Charlotte's apartment, he remembered about Mary. He realized that no matter how pretty Charlotte was, the one that loved him sincerely was Mary, not her. The reason she hit on him was that he was a successful lawyer at that time, not unemployed like he used to be when he was rejected. He felt that he had made a mistake by meeting another woman while dating Mary, and immediately rejected Charlotte's invitation. He then returned home, returned to the girl he loved most. He woke Mary up and with no hesitation, he proposed to her. The next month, they got married. They had an outdoor party, but since it was raining hard, the party was moved inside the house. Inside, Tim's father stood in front of everyone and had a toast to celebrate the marriage. He was proud of Tim. His little boy had become a grown man. A year passed and his daughter was born, and everyone was happy to welcome their new family member. The whole family took turns taking care of the baby. One day, when everyone was celebrating Tim's daughter's second birthday, Kit Kat's boyfriend came and told them that Kit Kat had an accident because of drunk driving and had to be rushed to the hospital. Tim then went to the hospital to see his sister. There, she told him the reason why she was drunk was that she quarreled with her boyfriend. He then asked her when and where the quarrel was and returned to that time to prevent it to happen. He managed to prevent the quarrel, but now he was worried about his sister. He thought the reason why his sister's life was a mess was because of her relationship with her boyfriend. She often got drunk and missed her work because of her overly possessive boyfriend. He advised his sister to break up with her boyfriend because her relationship was not healthy. He was forced to tell his sister that he could travel back in time and asked his sister to come with him to go back to the time when she first met her boyfriend. She thought of it as a joke, but Tim managed to prove her wrong. When they arrived at the time when Kit Kat first met her boyfriend, she saw her boyfriend flirting with another woman. She then realized that her boyfriend was not a good guy and suddenly beat him up. When returned to the present day, Tim, who missed his family so much, went back home just to find out his lovely daughter was now a boy. He panicked and went back to the time when his daughter was born. He then met his father to tell him everything. Hearing his explanation, the father told him that if he went back in time before his child's born and changed the past, it might affect the present day and alter the reality. He told his son to never went back in time before his child was born to prevent that to happen. Tim was forced to return Kit Kat's past to what it was before he changed it to get his daughter back. As a brother, he still worried about his sister. He, along with Mary, decided to take care of Kit Kat and prevented her from meeting her boyfriend again. They planned to get her to break up with him so she could get back to her healthy life. Days later, Kit Kat realized her toxic relationship and broke up with her boyfriend without Tim changing her past, which brought her daughter back. Not long after the incident, Mary tested positive for pregnancy. Months later, their second child was born. The families were happy with the news until one night. They got bad news about Tim's father. He was diagnosed with late-stage lung cancer. The next day, Tim, Mary, and Kit Kat visited their parents' house. Their father looked pale, bearing the pain. Tim realized that the man in front of him was his father from the future, who went back in time because he regretted that he didn't have time to give his children the last hug. Hearing that, Tim immediately hugged his father. His father gave him a bit of advice, saying that a good life was not when we can alter our painful past, but when we can accept and forgive it, no matter how bitter it is. When he returned home, he remembered what his father told him and decided to give himself another chance to live his boring life to its fullest and filled it with happiness.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, thank you. All right.
He finally was able to live happily until one day, his father passed away. When he returned home after the funeral, Mary told him that she wanted another child. She hoped that the presence of their child would return happiness to the family. Instead of feeling happy, Tim got into a dilemma because when his third child was born, it would be his last time to go back in time to meet his father. He realized that no matter how hard he tried, he would never be able to stop his father's death, and so he accepted to have another child with Mary. 9 months later, his baby's birthday was around the corner. He realized it will be his last day going back to the past to meet his father. He decided to go back in time when he was playing table tennis with his father. He let his father win the game and made him delighted. When his father asked for a winning prize, he said he would hug him as a gift for the winner while holding back his tears. His father realized that Tim in front of him was the one from the future. Tim told him that his third child would soon be born and this will be their last meeting. Tim then hugged his father. Her father told him to accompany him and went back to a time when they spent the day together on a beach. Tim agreed and they traveled to the past to spend their time together. Months later, after Tim's third child was born, he was never seen using his ability to repeat the past. He realized that true happiness was when he can spend time with his family and his loved ones as if that day was his last day.